one of the things that I want to do is I want to delete these windows up top. So I'm going to click on my background layer, grab my magic wand, or I could grab my quick selection tool. And what I would need to do there is decrease my brush size just a little bit and draw on that shape. And then next, click on my adjustment layer icon and choose solid color. And the color that I'm going to choose is one of these colors, one of these whites that I have around here. Maybe something that's not super bright white, but pretty close to it. Style that in, click OK. Let's take a look at that. There's our before and after. Now, if we want to modify this at all, what we can do is click on the mask and go to Filter Other Maximum. What that's going to do is it's going to increase the radius of our mask, so you can see that I can pull that out all together. And you know, that may look kind of good. I want to have some of the lines going because I think the lines are interesting, but it might be nice to delete it. I'm going to go ahead and double click the icon for my solid color. I notice there's a bit of saturation in it. I need to pull it out so it's pure white. Alright, so there we have the deletion of that top window. We're reducing and simplifying, and we're going in a pretty good direction. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is to click in my background layer and then create a layer above it, the new layer icon. I'll call this layer Clean Up, and then I'm going to zoom in a little bit. S for my clone stamp tool. I'm going to clean this up with a blend mode of Lighten, about 50%. And I'm just going to sample around here and just look to reduce this up even more. Might as well just get rid of these guys. Reduce a lot of the details that I'm seeing in the wind tunnel, just for the sake of reducing, simplifying. I could also do this with the healing brush. And let's zoom out, see how we're doing so far. So far, so good. Just some little detail work. Just a couple more little details I just can't let go. Here's my before and after. Okay, nice. Just some quick cleanup. And it looks like in one area I actually added a blemish. Better pull that out. Alright, well, for the most part I think I'm going in a good direction. That's just a lot of clicking, a lot of detail work. The final thing that I would like to do with this image is add a bit of color. And there are a number of different ways we could add color. We could, of course, go to our curves adjustment, color balance, or any of our other techniques that we know. Let's go ahead and jump to curves. And in curves, what I'm going to do is bring in some green, and then go to the blue channel, and then go to the red cyan channel, and I'm just having some fun here looking at some different color combinations. Here's my before and after. Of course I can lower the intensity of this by pulling the opacity back or continually modifying it as I see fit. Let's hit Tab, F to go to full screen view mode, F7, let's look at our before and after. Option Alt click the background layer. There's before and after. Well done, that wraps up our first image in the chapter, Simplicity. I hope you learned something and had some fun along the way. I'll catch you in the next movie. In this movie, in the next few movies, we'll be working on strength. So go ahead and double click the folder strength, and then double click the file C_Orwig_strength, F to go to full screen view mode. And what we want to do here is take this image and illustrate the concept strength and really create something that's quite compelling. On this background layer, we have good posture, good muscle, good strength, yet on the layer above we have some lats, and we want to bring those lat muscles into the mix. So what we're going to do is take our blend mode to difference. This way we can see the alignment, and most likely what we're going to need to do is to nudge this around, and there we can kind of see how the lats will tie in. Once we have a good position, I'm going to click normal. I'm looking for that blue along there just to add a little bit of muscle definition to the image. Next, Option Alt click the mask icon, and that will fill the mask with black. And then grab a white brush, and what we're looking to do here is to bring these muscles into the image, and then paint with black to create a little transition area. We obviously don't need this part of the back end. And this is just going to be some detail masking that we're going to be doing here. Alright, let's zoom out, see how we're doing. Hey, that's pretty cool. Adds a little bit more strength to the overall image. And because we're going for creating a photo illustration, we can get away with this. It's not realism at this point. Next thing that we want to do is merge these layers. Shift Option Command E or Shift Alt Control E. That will merge these layers to a new layer. We're going to name this layer Strength. Next I'm going to go to Filter, Liquify. We're going to choose the fifth icon down, and we're going to start off just by adding a little bit of bulk to the arms, to the shoulders. So I'm just hitting these a little bit, increasing the overall mass there. And then I'm going to get a smaller brush size. I'm going to work on specific muscles, so I'm going to increase the size of the bicep there. Just think of it, this guy didn't even need to work out. He's just getting bigger. Just with a simple hit of the Liquify tool. And there's a lot that you can do with this if you really want to go for it. Our case, we just want to do it a little bit. We have pretty good image to start with, so we don't need to go too far. Let's click OK to apply that and look at our before and after. That's pretty good. One of the things that you have to watch out for is stretching the background. And so I'm just clicking this on and off, and I'm looking at the background, making sure I'm not having any problems there. I'm going to zoom in. If I do have some problems, I can create a mask and then paint with black, like in this area up here. See, there's some stretching going on up there. I can paint that away. Because the stretching of the background will obviously give it away. That we have increased the muscle size there a little bit. Okay, well that looks pretty cool. We have made it through stage 1. We have more ground to cover, and we'll do that in the next few movies. Let's keep working on this image. Next step is going to be to click in our top layer. Press Shift Option Command E or Shift Alt Control E on a PC. And we're going to name this layer Zoom. Yep, Zoom. What I want to do is add a bit of majesty to this image, so I'm going to click on this layer, navigate to Filter, Convert for Smart Filters, click OK. Then Filter, Blur, Radial Blur. I'm going to add a zoom to this one. Quite a bit of zoom, click OK. Next I'm going to take this to a blend mode of good old soft light. How cool is that? Check out what that layer's doing. It's just adding a bit of contrast and color, and it's also giving us just a bit of zoom. We can kind of see the streaks coming off of the guy, and if we zoom out, we're going to see kind of our before and after. Pretty interesting. Let's Option-Alt click the background layer to see our before and after. We're going in a pretty good direction. Now, of course, if we want to increase the radial blur, all we have to do is double click this, and then we can increase it now that we're on this blend mode. We'll see how this thing looks. Click OK. And there you can see how the light streaks are coming off. I'm going to undo that and just leave it as is. I think that looks pretty good. And our next step is going to be to do a few curves adjustment layers. So I'm going to zoom out so I can see the entirety of my image, navigate to my curves adjustment layer and choose medium contrast, and then increase the contrast even more. I'm looking to add quite a bit of contrast here. Don't want the image to become too dark. And I'm going to click OK. Here's my before and after. Nice curves adjustment layer. Next step I'm going to take is clicking on my adjustment layer icon and choose black and white. Here I'm going to convert this image to black and white, and I'm going to go through my different blend modes to find one that I think looks pretty good. Green filter is going to do pretty good because we're going to get nice bright skin there, and then we can dial in the exact intensity of our black and white conversion. Click OK. Here's our before and after. Let's do another curves adjustment on top of this one. Click OK once again. And now we are going to add some color. Click on our adjustment layer icon, choose color balance. We're going to add some reds, some yellows. Again, we really want to illustrate this idea of strength, so we want some really just punchy conceptual color in there. I'm going to zoom out so I can take a look at the color and see how it's going. One thing that's obviously really interesting to do is to try a blend mode of soft light. Now that gives us a little bit more gritty, grainy feel, or we can go back to our normal blend mode and do something else to bring the color in a unique way, and that is press Option Command Shift 1 to load the first channel and then create a mask off that. See, that is Shift Alt Control 1, and then fill with the foreground color, which is Option Delete. In my case, I need to invert that selection, and then press Command D to deselect. Let's look at our before and after. What we can see is happening is we're mapping the tone across the image, and that looks pretty cool. Alright, well, we have more ground to cover, and we'll do that in the next movie.
One of the things I want to do is actually hide this layer mask and lower the opacity of this layer because I want to bring some of that red in. I kind of like the red there. So that's the color effect I'm going to go for. Once you've decided on what color and tone effect you want, we need to merge our layers to the top layer. Shift Option Command E, Shift Alt Control E will do that. And then name this layer merged. Next thing that we need to do is duplicate our layer by going to Image Duplicate. Now that we're working on the duplicate of the layer, you can see here it is. We're going to flatten it. In your layers, click on the pop-up menu and choose Flatten Image. And what we're going to do is create what's called a displacement map. We'll go ahead and desaturate this and blur it out just a little bit with a Gaussian blur. Click OK. And then save this file to our folder. We'll call this one Displace. Save it in the strength folder, close it. Alright, now that we're back here, what I want to do is I want to add a tattoo to this guy. Now I have this tattoo across his back, yet it doesn't look very realistic. It looks like it's kind of sitting on top of his back. So there are a couple things that we can do here. One is take it to a blend mode of soft light. What that will do is it will begin to integrate and tie into the shadow, so it's starting to look like it's bending a little bit. But we really need this tattoo to bend. So we're going to go to Filter, Distort, Displace, create a displacement map. And we can try a few different numbers here. I'll choose 10 by 10 and leave the rest on their default settings. Click OK. Choose the displacement map that I want to be using. Click Open. And now you can see it has displaced this tattoo along the guy's back. Now that was a little bit too intense, so I'm going to press Command Z. I'm going to go back to Filter, Distort, Displace. This time, I'm going to go back to 5 by 5, and it's going to look a lot better. Maybe even need to go a little bit lower. There we go. Let's look at our before and after. You can see how it's bending into the different shapes of the back. And I'm going to do it even a little bit less. Filter, Distort, Displace. This time 3 by 3. Click OK. Choose the displacement map. And there you can see it's much more subtle, but it's definitely moving across the guy's back. Alright, well let's take a look at how this would work if we had a word. Let's say the word strength. We wanted to embed that into this image. Well, what we could do here is the same thing. Now that we have this on a new layer, we simply go to our blend mode of soft light and then press Command F, which is the last filter we used, which would then displace this text. And we can lower the opacity, change the color, continually modify it in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to undo the word strength, and let's say what I would like to have happen is have the word strength underneath the tattoo. And here I simply press Command F. It will then blend into the back muscles there. If I take it to a normal blend mode, we can see it's black, so that's not going to look very good. That's why I'm taking it to one of those blend modes like Overlay or Soft Light. Overlay could look pretty nice because it's just going to be a little bit punchier. We'll notice it a bit more. And of course, we can lower the intensity of either of these layers simply by decreasing the opacity. I just wanted to throw in displacement maps there because I thought that would be kind of fun. Also, it's an incredibly valuable skill to have when you're working in Photoshop. Now for the final image, I'm going to take off the word strength. I'm going to leave the tattoo on. I'm just going to take the intensity of it down quite a bit. Actually, I'm going to take it all the way off. I think I like it without it better. Press Tab, F to go to full screen view mode. And let's press the F7 key to look at our before and after. Here's before and after. We have definitely created an image with visual impact, and the image definitely illustrates the concept strength.